thing is because when the camera goes on, there is a degree of I don't know, more identification of form that exists.
Yeah.
Oh, when we're live.
Are we live?
Yeah. So,
We're live. Okay. Good evening. Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah.
And we're here, sat under the willow tree. It's pouring with rain, but it's actually beautiful because it's covering us, and we're still sat outside in nature. And
Yeah.
of course, I have my bare feet because I'm grounding again.
yeah.
How are you, Pete?
I'm very well, thank you.
Get
Yeah,
those shoes
and
and
that's
socks off, son.
that's a good reminder for me also to start grounding myself too, and removing my
Get your
shoes
shoes
and socks. That feels good.
Absolutely.
Underneath the willow tree in Cold's gym.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cold's gym in the background. That's where all the hard work gets done of the body.
Yeah.
And the emotional stuff gets done here in front of the camera. So we were talking about grounding before we went live, and it's deadly important for everybody out there to get their shoes and socks off and get your feet in nature. Get it back to Mother Earth.
Yeah.
All the electrical magnetic frequency in which we absorb on a daily basis, that has to find a way of being negated. That's being,
Yes.
what's the word they use to discharge? Neutralized.
Neutralized.
And so the best way to do that is to get your feet in water, sand, or on the grass. And this is so important. Really get your feet grounded and
Yeah.
feel Mother Earth under your feet.
It reminds me of something which lightning does. Lightning is
Uh-huh.
always trying to ground itself. It's finding the closest
Absolutely.
route towards Mother Nature.
Absolutely, yeah. So very important. So that's a little side note before we get started. Now, we were discussing earlier on before we went live the importance of what you focus on, you get more of, and people have asked us to elaborate on that. And it's damn important because that is a fact. The brain is a servo mechanism that takes your direction very, very personal, very, very literal.
Yes.
And so when
And-
you focus on something that you want and you work towards it with a plan coupled with action, guess what? You are going to achieve those goals ultimately. But if you focus on that which you don't want,
Yes.
you're going to get more of that also.
Yeah.
Okay?
And what you visualize actually materializes into matter. And I guess that goes into a deeper philosophical question that sometimes comes up more often than not, is difference between mind and matter. And there isn't any, because mind is matter.
Indeed, absolutely. Thoughts are tangible. Thoughts carry a tangible, measurable weight. So what you think about is very important because you're sending that out there into the field, into the quantum field of everything, which interacts with everything else. And so it's damn important that you focus not only on your actions, but on your thinking process. If you want to create something, start thinking along the lines of positivity. And I'm
Yes.
not only into positive thinking because I'm into intelligence. And intelligence says, see things as they are,
Yes.
not as you want them to be.
Yeah.
Okay, and Tony Robbins says, divorce the story, marry the truth.
Yes.
But we must use intelligence, and so we must focus on what it is we want to achieve. People worry so much, but what is worrying, Pete? Worrying is it's like a prayer, but asking for something that you don't want. See, when we pray, or when we try to manifest through the law of attraction something that we do want, we are always sending it out into the universe, into the quantum field.
Yeah.
But worrying is the opposite of that. Worrying is focusing on that you don't want, but with such intention and such intensity, you end up having it.
Yeah.
So stop praying for what you don't want by stop worrying.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. That's basically whatever you visualize is what starts to materialize into the world that you experience.
Totally, Pete. Totally, Pete. And that includes what we wish for and what we do are very correlated. And above that, all those things are interacting with the people and the environment that we spend our time with. So a question I would ask you guys, and this is deadly important, not only what are you focusing on a daily basis in your own life, who are you focusing on? And with whom do you spend your time? Because this is deadly important, because who we spend time with is who we become. So I often ask my clients, listen, get a bit of paper, get your pen out and make a list of the 5 people that you spend your time with,
Yeah.
okay? And then write down the attributes of that person that you like. and the attributes of that person that you don't like. And then ask yourself the ultimate question: is this person adding fuel to my fire, or are they taking a piss on it? Right?
Okay, I see you. So are they enhancing your life, or are they just making matters worse?
Absolutely, because dead wood is for burning. It's not for keeping. And you've got to get really disciplined about this and really mercenary with this, because you need to guard your light. You'll guard your fire with your life, because who we spend time with is who we become. So stop lowering your standards. Get strategic. Really write down the people you hang around with, including your partners, and see, are they complementing your existence, helping you grow, or are they pulling you back off the wall of life?
Yeah, right. And this also goes back a little bit into what we were saying when we were in the university parks around who you want to be, who you don't want to be, and then who you are being.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, when you're spending time with the person who you would like to follow in the footsteps of, then you are in nature being that person.
Sure.
Because you're surrounding them to enjoy that moment in time. And
yeah, very, very, very important. So who you spend time with is who you become. So really get strategic and have a look at these people that are invading or occupying your proximity in space. And then once you've done that, you've got to guard your fire with your life, literally, because you really need to get so militant with this. I can't overemphasize how militant you need to be with this, and then remove anything that doesn't enhance or serve your purpose.
And if people have got somebody like that in their lives, like, it can be quite a difficult thing to be able to walk away from somebody who may have some type of dependency upon you, be it emotional dependency, but you also feel that maybe that person isn't quite aligned to your way of thinking, and you want to move into a different direction, but they're not willing to walk that path for you.
Yeah, that can be awfully difficult. I always say that it doesn't matter how fast you're moving forward, whether your partner is playing catch up, but you can always wait for her or him. But the importance is that you are going in the same direction. You know, the rabbit and the hare. There's no race to be won. But if you're going forward and your partner's going backwards, that whole push-pull thing going on, that's going to be awfully difficult to get some traction in that relationship and find some areas of growth. Yeah. And I think that's damn important, Pete. Yeah, so it's a good point.
Yeah, which is why patience is such a virtue.
Patience is a wonderful virtue, something I think we all can work on more. I'm certainly lacking in areas of patience, and it shows itself up in many different fields and spheres of my life. But I'm aware of it, and awareness is the first stage of transformation.
Yeah, and ironically, I am extremely patient. So I have a large degree of patience in me, which is probably why these YouTube and Facebook Live videos come out quite well.
Yeah,
they're starting to.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, Pete is patient. Yeah, he's much more patient, much more mellow than I am, and it works. This relationship we have, it works, and I hope you can feel that, guys.
Yeah.
Also, he asked me last night, what are we doing here after we come off camera? What are we doing here? Not in the garden, but in life.
There was some craziness.
There was some
yoga and stuff.
There were some interesting things going on after the camera cut off. But he asked me, what are we doing here as our purpose? And my response was, we are agents of consciousness. Responsible for pushing the level of consciousness forward towards lower entropy, away from disorder and chaos, and more towards harmony.
Yes.
Right? Away from high entropy.
Yeah, and something that you can always connect with just by sitting out in the garden and listening to the birds or being amongst nature. And that's one of the biggest things that I missed when being out in Dubai for so long, was that connection with the ultimate consciousness, which is Mother Nature herself.
Yeah, that's a good point, Pete. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think nature is the way to bring yourself back down to back to earth, right, as in grounding, but back to consciousness. The way to expand upon consciousness or help it expand is again through your decision-making process. Because every choice that you make has a consequence. So every choice you make, I want you to be mindful of the choices that you make as you go through life, as you go about your day, and really pay attention to what it is that you're doing, and attempt to everything that you do, try to make sure that it comes from a place of love and not from a place of fear or manipulation. if you ask yourself the question, where is this coming from? And if you can honestly answer that it's coming from a place of love, then your intentions are pure. And regardless of the outcome, it's okay. It's okay, because this big universal sentience, this creator God, he knows what's in our heart. So when we're coming from a place of love and loving intention, it doesn't matter about the outcome, because your intentions were pure. Yet when we start manipulating and start talking through fear, jealousy, envy, greed, resentment, underhand agendas, then that's from a different area altogether. That's not coming from the heart.
Yeah, and it's very toxic for a person to be able to have those types of thoughts and hold on to them. And
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially resentment.
yeah,
Resentment is a poison, you know. Resentment, you know, if this was a glass of water, resentment is like me picking this up, taking a big gulp, and hoping that you're going to fall down dead. Right? But that's what resentment is.
Yeah.
You know, resentment does far more damage to the container in which it's contained than anything over in which it's poured. You get it?
yeah.
It's an
Yeah, I
acid,
get
it's a
you on that.
vitriol that does more damage to the container that holds it than anything over that which it's poured.
Wow.
It's deep, right?
Yeah, that is
So
very deep.
resentment and guilt and grievances, let them go. However hard that is for you to exonerate yourself or exonerate the person that's hurt you, I get it. I get it. Shitty things happen to good people. They really do. But what are you going to do? Are you going to dwell in that misery and hold that person accountable for your happiness for the rest of your days? I like to take control of my own emotions in my own life and don't give anybody that power to draw me and pull me around like a marionette, right? Because nobody can make you feel any way without your permission.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. Although you can get influenced by your experiences
No doubt.
from your emotional attachments that you
Totally,
have to
totally.
the people that surround you, right?
Totally influenced, and it's a practice. You know, you're not going to wake up and you're going to be like Buddha in the morning.
Yeah, it's a constant challenge. It's the cross that you have to carry, dependent upon your experiences and situations that have happened. to you.
Totally, Pete. Totally. So, any questions out there? Any questions out there that you'd like us to deal with about this responsibility and resentment and letting go of grievances against people that have harmed or hurt you and holding on to that pain? You know, I'd like to know, how does it serve you by holding on to that pain? Does it inspire you to do more, or does it sort of drive you into that rabbit hole which is dark and dense?
And I think some people probably don't even know that they're going down into that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
They kind of are almost kind of consumed by it, that there is almost another life doesn't exist outside of that. And it takes a while for them to kind of go through that whole process and
Yeah.
being able to let go and feel what it's like to be at that higher frequency.
Yeah, I think that's where good friends, solid family really come into their own. Because when we're struggling on our own, and especially men that like to retreat into their back cave to sort their own shit out, but I always advocate, be vulnerable, be authentic, reach out to those that love you,
Yeah.
that those can give you an objective or a subjective opinion based around your problem, and really reach out and really lay yourself bare and say, listen, I'm struggling here, I need some help.
Yeah.
I need some help. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, can benefit from therapy. Don't think there's a stigma attached to therapy that somehow your mind is broken. You know, we wear a broken arm cast with pride. We even get people to sign it. Yet, Yet the suggestion that your mind is broken in any
Yeah.
way is met with this stigma, like, don't tell anybody that your mind's not working at 100%.
Yeah, and I think this is where kind of doing full circle is where having the vision and creating the vision is super important for you to be able to steer your life towards a more positive outcome.
Sure.
And if you don't have that vision or you haven't created it yet, then it's really important that you create it and you believe it so that you can write a plan and go out there and try to achieve it.
Sure. Very important. Very important, Pete. Get a plan. Know what your outcome is. I always ask people that are struggling, hey, what do you want? What is it that you actually are trying to achieve here? Because if you don't know what you want, you're like a
So-
ship with no destination, no
Yeah.
captain, no compass. So what is it that you want is the first question I will ask them. Most don't know, which is why they're sending mixed results to their brain,
Yeah.
or mixed messages, which are getting mixed results. when you do finally know what you want, ask yourself the question, why do I want it?
Yeah, and that's almost like you've got the vision and now you're putting some fuel onto it.
That's it.
To be able to turbocharge.
Absolutely. You know, the why is a very important. Find a big enough why, and the how will show up.
Yes.
Right? But most people are still like fixated on the how to do, you know, the mechanics of it all.
Yeah.
Yet 80% is the psychology,
Yeah.
20% is the mechanics, not the other way around.
Yeah. So what, why, and then the how will show up.
Exactly. So what is it you want?
Yeah.
Then why do you want it? Because you've got to know what it is that you want is coming from you, from what you really want, not what your parents want, not what your partner wants or your children wants. What do you want? And then when you can answer that with congruence, why do I want it? Maybe to enhance my self-esteem, to do some good in the world, whatever it is for you. It's going to be very idiosyncratic for you. And then how then becomes the how. How can I achieve this? But get the psychology right.
Yeah. And then the how comes really down to having the discipline and consistency to go out there and do the necessary actions in order to be able to get the shit done, right?
Bullseye. Without consistency,
Yeah.
nothing gets done anyway, because consistency is the mother of all skill sets.
Yes.
We learn as children in our formative years all our programming through repetition.
Yeah.
We observed our primary caregivers, i.e. our parents, what they did, what they told us, what's acceptable, what isn't, and we copied their model. But that took an extended period of time for the neurology to lay down those pathways. If you want to change your pathways, you've got to apply the same methodology, which is repetition, consistency, discipline.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker: minimum 66 days, according to the latest surveys, up to 250 days of a new behavior.
66 days.
Every single day.
Okay, yeah. All right, so I'm 10 days in to training every single day without a day off. So I need to keep that going for 66 days. And,
Effectively.
effectively.
Effectively. We've got to be careful with the training, because
But keeping it light, doing
that's
something.
all right, that's different.
Yeah.
That's very much.
But maintaining in that mindset.
The
That
mindset.
mindset that comes with training, which is waking up early, cooking healthy food, having a daily smoothie, making sure you got your breathing rhythm right, you're good on the pads.
Totally.
All of those aspects help to set the right habits in place for us to be able to go out there and build on and achieve what it is that we have in mind.
Very, very much. And it's all. This is all about momentum, because progress is one of the fundamental emotions of humanity that we must meet. We must make progress in everything that we do, because if we don't, we're going backwards.
Yeah.
Evolution means to move forwards. If you're not growing, you're dying. You're being left behind by an evolutionary process that doesn't care about you. It will support you, but it doesn't care. You can sit in bed all day. You can stay in a dead-end job, a dead-end relationship. That's your prerogative. But if you want to make progress, you've got to do some work towards a new goal.
Yes.
Right? And then when you do, you get momentum behind you. And when you get momentum, that forward momentum, we really feel that fire's building, and we can achieve pretty much anything we set our mind to, right?
Yeah.
So it's damn important. Get a plan,
Yeah.
write it down, take massive action, and execute.
Yeah.
Right?
And then consistently build upon that with discipline and
Discipline,
focused behavior and action.
Yeah. Without discipline, what is it? It's just a dream.
Yeah.
Right? A dream that never gets met.
Yeah.
Why do you think New Year's resolutions fall by the wayside within 2 or 3 weeks of January the 1st?
Yeah, there's no discipline there.
There's no discipline. And also, 3 weeks of doing the same thing is not long enough, and they don't see the changes that they want to see in that time, and they give up.
So the minimum you're saying is 2 months, 60 days.
66 days is the latest in science where we need to apply ourselves to a regular repetitive pattern.
Yes.
For the plasticity in our brains to lay down the new neural pathways of new habitual behavior.
Incredible. So that could be anything, because you got how many seconds in a day to play with?
Yes, 84,600 or 86,400 seconds.
86,400 seconds every day to play with on doing whatever it is that you want, but the discipline and consistency and the foundation that you lay is going to really determine where you are in 66 days.
Absolutely. Remember what Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you can't,
Yes.
you're right.
Yeah.
So whatever you think you can or can't achieve, guess what? You're right. So
Yeah.
you need to align your wants with your feeling and begin to visualize and begin
Yeah.
to see it sort of unfolding for you.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting one because this also gets into the topic where you have a kind of almost a contradiction or a conflict within a person themselves, where they want to go out there and achieve their big goal, but they're holding on to some old habits that are just no
Yes.
longer serving them.
Great point.
So you have this whole conflict that happens within the individual, and neither really. They just kind of end up in a kind of a stage of no progress, and nothing really happens but time passes you by.
Great point. Now what Peter's just mentioned there in psychology and NLP, he's talking about limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs, because we all have them and we're all prisoners to them. And this is how limiting beliefs work. In your formative years between 0 and 7, events arose in your experience where you gave meaning to something. An
Yeah.
event happened,
Yes.
you gave meaning to that event, and ever since you have a belief around that meaning.
Yes.
And there's no truth attached to it other than the one you're giving
Yeah,
it.
the story that you're giving
story
to
that you're-
the
exactly.
meaning-making process
Exactly.
is
The
what Darren
story,
calls it.
the story that you're telling yourself is holding you prisoner to that limiting belief, and we can change those limiting beliefs.
Yeah,
We can.
Yeah,
We
and-
have modalities to change that. We know in NLP there's many things we can do to change those limiting beliefs and the emotions that no longer
that,
serve you.
and that was the timeline therapy that you practiced on me
Yes.
as your guinea pig, and as a result, it had a very positive impact into my life.
Yes, absolutely. And
You were able to almost go back into the event through this timeline therapy, which did involve me having to, really kind of submerge myself deep into my psychic to understand where that issue actually came
in your
from
in your unconscious mind.
in my unconscious mind, and then lay a new program or a new story,
A new story,
behind that
yeah.
experience.
The new story, the
a
new
new
story.
story
Yeah.
in that experience for it to now play out in my present moment in
Absolutely.
time.
So if we clear your past up, you are
Yeah.
free to create a new future. But you can't create a new future as long as you're a prisoner to your past.
Yes, which
Right.
is beautiful because Bruce Lee says something very similar. Whereas you can't go to the table with a full cup of tea and expect to drink. You got to finish what's in your cup before you get some more, right?
Sure.
Yeah, he probably didn't say it quite like that.
But you get the point. You get the meaning. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And these things are damn important.
Don't look at the finger that points to the moon.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
I'm telling you something profound when I'm pointing at the moon and you're looking at my fingernails, you're going to miss the point, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, all these things are very important. So there are things that you can do if you're a prisoner to your past. That includes dating the same people with effectively the same face. That's also very common. You're waking
Yeah.
up in the morning, you're looking over at your new partner, and you think, fuck, I've done it again. How have I ended up with the same person with a different head in my bed?
yeah,
Because you are still operating from the same frequency that you always have and attracting the same person to you.
yeah,
As much as you want a beautiful relationship, an unconditional loving relationship, if you have no point of reference for unconditional love in your childhood, guess what? More often than not, you will sabotage any man or woman that comes into your life to give you unconditional love because it sits outside of the grounds of familiarity, right? Because we gravitate back to that which is familiar.
yeah,
Anything that was familiar in your past sits in the pleasure column. Anything that was unfamiliar sits in the pain column.
yes.
Now imagine your mum and dad was beating 6 bowls out of each other and coming home drunk. But if that was your familiar from 0 to 3, 4, 5, 6, guess what? You're going to look for that in your adult life, or a partner that replicates and triggers those experiences.
Wow.
Right? And
Yeah.
so if you think, yeah, I'm fed up with dating a guy that keeps drinking and he hits me on the head too often.
Yeah.
Yet, if you find a guy that doesn't do that for too long, the novelty value will be lovely primarily, but you will go back to what's familiar because it sits in the pleasure column.
Incredible.
The unfamiliar is painful, so the unconditionally loving man and woman becomes painful for you.
Yeah. Which is why they say you should always run towards your fears, right? You should
Right,
always go
yeah.
go do what is uncomfortable for you to do.
Well, fears
challenge yourself.
Absolutely, fears are trying to teach you something about yourself. Fears are saying, listen, these are the emotions and these are the belief systems that are holding you back. If you just go through them, steamroll your way through them, and understand what you need to learn about that. You know, if public speaking is a big fear for you, which is for many people, including me, by the way,
and including me, yeah.
okay, you just got to put that camera up there and just punch through it, and then it grows, momentum grows.
It does,
right?
yeah. It does grow big time, yeah. To make sure it's in.
Yeah. Now listen, we are getting absolutely drenched here, and we weren't expecting this. The weatherman, he sabotaged our attempts to make a decent video here, and so. Guys, we will be back online again tomorrow maybe, and in the meantime, any questions that have arisen from this little podcast, please aim them at either me or Pete,
drop them in the comments below.
Check in the comments below.
Yeah, we'll get back to you.
And we'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with better weather. And
fingers crossed.
And I hope that you enjoyed this little get together under our willow tree.
Yeah.
And
might even play some darts later as well in the next one.
Exactly. And have a great evening and work on yourselves. Do what you need to be doing, and I'll see you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.
Peace. Thank you.
Just here for him, man. Helping him out.
I'm absolutely
My feet are
drenched.
fucking cold. This is the last time I get you to take my shoes off, man. What the fuck?